Welcome to the how-to series presented by Extra Life Gaming. In these series, we are going to go ahead and show you how to do your own repairs on your own consoles and devices. Today, we're going to be working with a PS4 controller, changing out the joystick and adding a new one in via soldering. So stick with us and hope you learned something. Thank you. All right, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to remove these 4 screws on the controller on the back. Just a regular Phillips, small Phillips head would work. And once you have those removed, depending on the model, what you want to do is you want to take it from the front, pull up where these two on the either side of the handles comes, and then don't pull up too fast because there is a ribbon cable we have to remove. So once you take it up, you'll see that the ribbon cable is right here for the charging port in the front. Just go ahead and take your fingers and lightly just pull up until it comes out, and then we're free of that part. And we'll put this to the side later. And next, what we have is the battery, and all you want to do is make sure you grab on the side, and if you need some tweezers or if you need some like needle nose to get onto the white, just grab the only white part and gently just pull back and forth until it comes loose. And then we'll go ahead and remove the battery and set that aside. And now, depending on the controller, it either has one screw here, or it could have multiple screws, or just connectors connecting the housing to the motherboard from the battery. But this one only has one screw. So we'll go ahead and we're gonna unscrew this. And then this all comes up as one unit. We'll put that to the side and save it for later. And then this is for the front touchpad. You can go ahead and grabbing the blue with your fingers, grab it and lightly pull against. And then this fits right through the hole in the back, right back in here. And so you just want to make sure you don't pull it, and we'll just put it through there. And now we have the board. So what we're going to do, we're going to make sure you just want to lightly pull up on the board on either side. It should come loose. But now we have these cables in the way from our rumble. All right, so what we want to do is we want to desolder these two and these two as well. So all you have to do is make sure your solder is nice and hot, put it on there and just pull. And that comes loose, put it on top, and it comes out. Make sure you remember which one goes where. Usually it's red, black on the left, and then black, red on the right. It's just reversed from each other. So we want to do the same thing over here. And there we go. We got that up, and now our board should be totally complete. Then you want to go ahead, you want to take these off, and there it shows the old style joysticks. All right, now in this segment here, we're going to use some specialized tape. We got to put it over our port for our battery because we don't want to melt it when we use the hot air. And this will keep it from doing that. Now we don't have to worry. So on a joystick, we have all these pins that we need to put solder on. We always want to put extra solder on, especially with low melt solder, because this solder that Sony uses is it takes a lot of heat, and we don't want to damage the board at all by putting too much heat to melt this solder. So you could either use low melt solder, or you can just use your regular, your 6040 lead and tin solder that has a lower melting point than the unleaded solder that they use. For this though, I'm going to use my low melt solder to make this a little bit faster and easier, but you do not have to. So first off, you want to apply flux. Because now we want to mix our low melt solder with our leaded solder that is on the board already. So what we're going to do is we're going to heat that up. All right, now what we want to do is we want to take our hot air gun. Now that we have all the solder completely fused together with our low melt solder, the heat gun should be set on Fahrenheit roughly around 720 degrees. Also, to pull it out is our trusty needle nose pliers. What I like to do is I like to put the needle nose underneath while giving a little force down. And then we'll go ahead and we'll lightly remelt the low melt solder, and it shouldn't take too much heat because we have that low melt solder on there. And once you start seeing it get loose, when you wiggle it around a little bit, there we go, and out she comes. So while I still have this hot, I like to take my desolder sucker and go by each hole, since we already got it warm, and pull out all the extra solder that is in there. All the holes are completely cleaned out, and it's going to be ready for our next one. What we want to do is we always want to make sure we're clean, so we're going to let that board cool down for about a minute, and then we'll go ahead and use some of our IPA that you want to use. You always want to use 99.9% to make sure that you get the best clean, and this has no water content. So let's go ahead and give this a nice clean on the board. All right, now we got that cleaned. Go ahead, and we won't need this tape anymore because we're not using our hot air gun. But now what we gotta do, since we got the holes cleaned out, we wanna go ahead and line them up. And make sure all the pins are coming through on the back, in which they are. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna solder them on. And now we're gonna take our very fine electrical rosin core solder, our 6040, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to each one. Just like that. We wanna make sure we got everything cleaned up, make sure there's no debris anywhere. We wanna use our IPA again. Now we want to double check to make sure no solder is connecting with any others, in which they all look great. And now all we want to do is we want to go ahead and we're going to do our reassembly. And now we should have a working joystick. So we're just going to do the reassembly, basically back and reverse. We get this, make sure those are on correctly. Place this down first inside. And now we have to resolder our rumbles back on. And make sure you resolder back in this correct position that you had them in before. So this one was red, and use your tweezers for this to get kind of a little bit closer up. And this you don't need any flux because usually there's enough on there to actually fuse it back together. It doesn't need much. So and you want to take just a little tug to make sure it's on there properly and doesn't come loose. And once you do, then we get 2 more sets. Okay, those are all on correctly. And now what you want to do is you want to go ahead and you want to reinstall your ribbon cables. Grab it by the blue. Always make sure you grab ribbon cables by the blue strip that's on them so you don't pull the actual ribbon. You want to push in like that, so you have that in there. So you want to take what we had, the housing for the battery. Let's put it back in. Make sure we line it up with all the holes that we have properly. Make sure, a lot of times with this part, you want to hold it with the front and the back so it pushes everything together. There we go. And now you feel that all the buttons feel good. Make sure you move around the joystick. See, like that, it's a little too hard. If new, you just back off this middle screw just a little bit if you want to adjust. And now you're good. And then what we want to go ahead and do is you want to finish it out. Put the back one on here and make sure the blue is pointing inwards towards the controller. Put that ribbon cable back in. And now on this, put this together, make sure the clear part goes into the little slot that is inside right here. Click it together. Put your 4 screws on the back here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're ready to play games. And that's it for this video. I thank you for watching. And if you have any more questions or comments, please let us know down below. Thank you.